This one we're going to be talking about how a couple of different Salesforce products can be used to really provide world-class customer service, in particular in the manufacturing space. So I have a couple of slides to go over, and then I'm going to, the rest of this is going to be mostly live demonstration. So really quick, this is the agenda. So we've got a couple different use cases in manufacturing that we're going to be going over. Quick overview about manufacturing in general, then going into sort of, basically like order management, order support, and really like, using the Service Console for giving, a 360-degree view in the manufacturing space. Some self-service, leveraging live message. We're going to go into some use cases there, and then switch gears a little bit and go into heavy equipment and complex machinery service, and then also some service selling. Hopefully we have plenty of time at the end for Q&A. Hoping about 10 minutes left at the end, and then we'll answer questions there. So really quick, who we are. So we're GearsCRM. We're a gold partner. We're based outside of Boston, but we pretty much cover most of the country at this point. We have regional offices in Chicago, Dallas, and also New York, as well as sort of our main headquarters in Boston. My name's Harry Rattenberg. I'm the president of GearsCRM. I've been working with Salesforce for 15 years, started off as a customer, and then went into and founded Gears about 8 years ago. In particular, in the Midwest and the Southwest, we have a lot of manufacturing customers, which is what, essentially, where we work a lot with these Service Cloud projects. So we're going to start to go into that now. So, one of the first things with manufacturing, and I think it's, in particular very relevant for service, is it really is a broad industry. When you look at these are just sort of some of the code classifications that the U.S. government uses to classify different types of manufacturers. There's a lot of different types of companies here, and, because of that, really from a customer service standpoint, one size does not fit all of manufacturing. So part of what we're doing on this webinar, and we're starting to do a blog series on this as well, is we're starting to cover different aspects of customer service that applies to the manufacturing space, right? So just some of these in particular, your basic case management. You also have sort of mission critical support, so, you can have case management about, things like ball bearings where, super high volume where, really it's a lot about orders and getting things to the customers, the right part, the right size at the right time. But then you could also have like super heavy equipment, maybe equipment that's used on the plant floor, big logistical equipment, conveyor belts, all those types of things, where it's, it's sort of mission critical support, right? Where if that goes down, your customer's, entire, production line also could be impacted by that, right? So much heavier SLAs and sort of contractual requirements than just sort of basic case management, right? So we'll go into a little bit of that. Order management support is another big example, and one that we just wrote a blog post covering a bunch of different angles on. This is more like, that ball bearing scenario, like, that I was talking about, where, you're just basically producing orders. A lot of your inquiries coming in are issues about orders, questions about orders. Why is my order late? It went to the wrong place. You sent me the wrong part. Or, I want to reorder, all those types of things. You get into knowledge management, right? And this is where things get very different between the B2C manufacturing world and the B2B manufacturing world. A knowledge base for something like lawnmowers is very different than a knowledge base for, a heavy piece of equipment that's sitting on a plant floor. Field service is another aspect, right? Especially, for that mission critical type equipment. A lot of times you have field technicians out there supporting your products, trying to repair products, doing service contracts, which is the next bullet. So, another angle. Warranty management. Not everybody has warranties, but it's a big part of manufacturing is, are your products under warranty? And when issues come in, is that covered under warranty or not? And then dealer management. A lot of manufacturers, manage their dealers and, have a whole dealer network servicing and selling their products. And there's more. These are just a few examples, right? And so, manufacturing is, a very specific industry, but it's, with such a wide range of different types of manufacturers, there's lots of different use cases here. So we're going to be drilling into a few of these, and then we're also going to be doing follow-up webinars, drilling down to very specific pieces of this. And then we're also doing blog posts in some cases as well. So, keep an eye on that type of stuff. Now, one thing that's really common in manufacturing, though, is across all the board. And Salesforce did a really good survey of manufacturing companies out there across all the different spectrums. And we'll post a link to that as with the recording of the webinar as well. But really, like 72% of all manufacturing teams agree that like a 360-degree view, like so that shared single view of the customer is very important to their overall service process. So that's really good news from that standpoint. The interesting thing is, though, that yet only 46% of them, so less than half, rate their performance at this as either excellent or very good. So, most manufacturers agree that this is really important and they have to have this 360-degree view of what's going on with their service team. But, really a lot of them are not pleased with what they've achieved. And, this was part of the survey. This is a big reason why. When you look at how, manufacturers typically track customer information, like so purchase history, service requests, orders, all that stuff, the primary system they're using still are spreadsheets. So if you're tracking all this data in spreadsheets, that's tough to get that 360-degree shared view. That's basically a silo of data right there. Another 60% are still using on-prem CRM systems, right? So older technologies, like probably like ERP systems or SAP, Oracle, so much older systems. Only half are really on the cloud-based, right? And, that gets right up to here to the 46% rating their performance. A lot of those are probably the ones that have already moved to these newer technologies and really embraced that, sort of approach of, having a single system. The scary thing is 37% of them are still on paper. So you want to talk about a silo. So, if you're tracking this type of information on paper, no wonder you don't have a 360-degree view. No wonder sales can't see what's coming in. So that's a big issue. But a lot of this is improving, right? So, and we're seeing this, Salesforce is seeing this. There's a big push in manufacturing to really, expand and improve their customer service capabilities. And you look at this from a year-over-year growth, 200% increase in mobile app, 150% increase in customer portals, 130% increase in video support, 130% in chat and messaging, almost double in knowledge base use, right? So these are big increases year over year as manufacturers are investing into the space. And this chart here, it's a little bit fancy from Salesforce there, but basically this is saying, that they agree that they're, does the company feel that they are actually leading these customer service initiatives? And it's not surprising that the ones that classify themselves as high performers, 93% of them feel like they are leading these, right? And these other guys, the moderate or the underperformers, that underperformers are the 47%, they're the ones that have not really started these types of initiatives yet, right? So when you sort of combine the people who are really happy with what they're doing, they're embracing all this newer technology. So now we're going to go into this and really sort of show some of these aspects and how this works. So, all right, so let me switch over here to Salesforce. So we're going to basically start with some order management examples here, right? So basically, sort of think of it as a, like let's use the ball bearing, or in this case, it's sort of a rubber manufacturing, Vanderlei Industries. A lot of us here are Seinfeld fans, for those of you that know what Vanderlei Industries is. So, this is our rubber development company. And, basically we have a case that comes in, right? So I'm going to be in here as agent 0, and I'm going to be looking at this case. And so basically this case is, hey, I have an inquiry about my rubber bands. And so, again, on these types of rubber band type orders, for example, you're not going to be getting, how do I use my product? Most of the inquiries coming in are going to be about, where's my shipment? Where's my order? I placed an order, it's been late, or you sent me the wrong part. So this is an inquiry about that order. So if I open up that case and I'm in the Service Console, I'm going to show you a couple of things here that happen. So this is basically the power of the Service Console, right? And where you start to get, really that 360-degree view, start to pull in all the different information that's going on with the customer, right? And this is the type of stuff that's very hard to do if you're in spreadsheets or you're in sort of an on-prem. So I'm opening up this case, right? And so right away, on my different panels here, I know this case is associated to Kramer Industries, and I can basically click over here to go see the details about Kramer Industries and all their information and their contacts, how many times they've called in, all that type of stuff. On the left-hand side, I have some recent information, important stuff that's, about this customer, right? So here's their case history, and if I expand this out a little bit, so all this is configurable here. So, this person's been, Cosmo has been sending in a bunch of cases, here's some quick subjects, some indicators, one of the cases have actually been escalated because there are some issues. Here's my entitlement. So what type of support am I entitled to, right? So this is a big aspect of, you're manufacturing. Are these guys, getting 24/7? Are they getting 9/5? Being able to track what type of support they're entitled to. No service contracts here, and it makes sense. We're selling rubber bands. That's not something we really necessarily need a service contract on. But when we get into the heavy equipment world, you're going to see where service contracts really, plays a big role. And then probably just as importantly, here's a list of all my recent orders, right? So Cosmo's basically, right here, placed 5 and 7 orders in total. I'm seeing all the most recent ones. And, on the right-hand side, I have my milestone. So basically, I have, basically 3 hours to reply to meet my SLA of when I'm supposed to respond to these email cases. And I still have 2 hours and 9 minutes to go. So this thing, is ticking down and it's sort of tracking. And I, as the agent, I just got in here. So I'm within my SLA. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then here's my knowledge base, right? And it's automatically right there for my agent. You're going to see this is the subject of the email case that came in, and it's automatically passing that to the knowledge, and it's returning relevant information to me right away. So, basically, I'm reading my email and I'm looking at this, and they want to inquire about order 0012. And it's about rubber bands, and right out of the gate here, I see there's a product advisory about rubber bands. And so that might be part of the issue of what's happening with this order. And, so basically we're using the knowledge base to build out all these product advisories, right? So in here, there could be a recall, or there could be a delay in shipments because of a certain factory, maybe there's some issues. But as an agent, I don't need to go find that information. It's automatically presented to me right there on the side, right? And you can, with manufacturers, you can drive this type of information. We're doing this right off of the subject line of the email. But, if you have specific model numbers or serial numbers, that could be part of your case entry process, right? You put in that model number and automatically we start popping service bulletins or product advisories. And again, the concept here is don't make the agent go find this, present it to them immediately and save them some time. Because also, in this case we're doing as an email, this could be a customer on the phone. This could be somebody calling you, and you don't really, want to be having dead air while we go search for this type of stuff. As soon as I mention this as a rubber bands order, boom, there's that product advisory, and they're able to go look. The other thing I'm seeing here is that it's about order number 0012. So, until you build that 360-degree view as a manufacturer, typically what you're going to have to do is, all right, I'm in here managing my case, or, I'm in a spreadsheet managing this email that came in. Now I have to go into my order system, go look up this order, go find out, what's going on with it. If you've built that 360-degree view and really integrated your Service Cloud to your back office systems where your inventory data is, where your order data is, basically your agent can manage this all in one place, right? So right here on the left-hand side, here's order 0012. So I click on 0012. And now I'm opening up this order, and I can sort of see what's going on. So this is just an example, and so one of the things I notice here right away is that basically this is shipping pending, and I look at this and I see that all right, the order date was on June 5th. We had promised an order date of 6/9. Which makes sense why the customer was thinking he was expecting this on last Friday. And then the current expected date is 6/16, so this Friday. So essentially this order has been pushed out a full week. Now we're going to talk about a little bit of automation that we're going to do in a couple of minutes, where maybe we could have alerted Cosmo about this, like their order being pushed. But in this case, right away, as soon as I'm on the phone or I'm looking at the email, I can see the issue right here without having to go look at this order inside my ERP system. I'm able to get that right in Salesforce, right? And it's probably been delayed because of that product advisory, right? So now I have all this information. I know why it's delayed. I review the product advisory. I go into the case, and then from here, I basically can just go to macros, and these are like very quick type of responses. And, basically I click on my order status, launch this macro here. This is now closing out the case, automatically popping a window for me here to basically, type out an email of what's going on. Just basically, sorry about your delay. We had a product issue, right? And I would basically tell them this is going to be coming on Friday. We've adjusted your shipment, and I would send out that email, and this is all done right here. So no having to bounce between Outlook or going into an ERP system to go look at this stuff. I'm doing all of this right from Salesforce. And then I can see the view of everything that's gone on with this case, right? So this is back to that 360-degree view. So imagine I'm a sales guy that's responsible for this customer. I'd be able to go in here, look at this case, see that a case was logged against this order, and see, all right, well, they already got back to them, this is great, and then maybe, go proactively call up the customer and apologize for the delay. Instead of having to call the customer thinking you're talking about one subject and then getting ambushed of, hey, how come my order 12 has been delayed? It's been a week, what's going on? Now the salesperson is armed with all the information of what happened here. They can see the product advisory too. They know it was related to this order. And then, now they're taking a little bit more control of that conversation by going, hey, I'm sorry about that order being delayed versus being ambushed or surprised by that. So this is just sort of an example here of that 360-degree view, getting all this information right to your agents in one place without them having to bounce around in different systems, or worse, spreadsheets or paper. Basically have all this case information right in one place. And you can see here my milestone's all set. So we achieved our milestone, from an SLA tracking, that all hit too. So that's a little bit of sort of like an email side and a tiny bit manual, and a little bit of where we're sort of reacting to the customers, right? But what if we could automate some of this stuff? So again, by having all this order information here, I go into here 0012. This is all in Salesforce. So now all my order data is in Salesforce and it's connected by integration. I can leverage all the power of Salesforce to really automate some of these alerts. So I can use a workflow engine to send an email to a customer, right? So as soon as the ERP system tells me, hey, the expected delivery date's been pushed out, this is now going to be shipped after we originally set expectations with the customer, we can automate out a text alert to an email alert to basically tell that customer, hey, this is delayed. Or, even better, I can send out a text message. So Salesforce has a product within Service Cloud called Live Message. And messaging is really, at this point, one of the really hot new channels for Service Cloud. And the reason for that is really just the effectiveness. 98% of people read all their text messages. And that sounds like an insane stat, but again, every single time I say this stat, I challenge the people I'm speaking to. I go, think about your own cell phone usage. Have you ever not read one of your texts that have come in? Everybody reads them. Just sort of what happens. So these types of alerts, notifications, they're much more effective if you're sending them through a messaging mechanism that's read 98% of the time than email, which may never be read, right? Not everybody reads all their emails. Some people are delaying it. So if this is important information about somebody's order, we can send that through a channel like messaging where we know they're going to get it and we know they're going to read it. And so, so we're going to show that a little bit of how that works. So again, here's all my information. Right now, you can see from this order, my shipment's pending. Here's all my order dates and stuff. So now I'm going to go to my phone. So I'm basically showing a recording of the phone here. And, I'm going to, first say as a customer, pretend I'm a customer, I'm going to, find out about my order, right? So, I have Vandelay Industries support right here. Going to click into the message box, and I'm going to just basically be like, I'm going to, basically have a code where I can just go order status, and then put in the order number, so 0012, which I know because I was alerted to it. And I click send. Now what's happening is this is now sending to Salesforce. Basically this is like sort of a messaging type of bot. So there's no agent having to do anything behind the scenes here. So this, first of all, this helps you reduce your call volume, reduce your chat volume. You don't have to have an agent respond, and you can see right here by sending that order status 00012 in, automatically Live Message responded back with that order. So shipping pending, which we know it is. And then basically, we could have given them the date, the expected date 6/16. We give them all that information here. And then right from here, they could, basically go type in agent if they want to speak to an agent, or they can put in shipment to actually get the tracking information of when this thing is shipping if it was already shipping, right? So some good information that's right there. So now pretend now that, the order is now shipped, right? So everything's all set. We've got this thing going, so we finally got this order shipped. Now if I go back to my phone here, I've sent out a proactive text to the customer to let them know that it's been shipped. And this is where, they're like, great, I want my tracking info. So I type shipment, and now that's going to go back, and it's basically going to fetch all my tracking information, which is right here. So here's my tracking number, here's my tracking URL, and it's basically going to fetch that information and send that back to me as a text. So I go back to my phone, and there's all my tracking info. And all of this has been done without an agent, right? So just, just step back and think about what's happening with your manufacturing company right now and all these order inquiries. Typically, they're going to like an order management team. They're on the phone all the time. They're trying to find out what's going on. And a lot of this is actually coming not just from customers, but also from sales, right? So, a lot of these salespeople around the field, they don't have access to your ERP systems. They can't go log in to see when something's going to order. So they're calling your service team as well, trying to figure out the most recent order dates and stuff. So now all this data is available, with this all in Salesforce. They can log into their mobile app and see this right from Salesforce One, or they can use these same bot services and basically find these answers to different orders and stuff without actually having to speak to an agent and get all that stuff automated. So some really cool stuff that you can do to sort of help out with the order status in a medium that, like a texting channel that is going to be read, right? So, and there's lots of other cool stuff that you can do, with these bots. So, it's really something to think about is like, okay, if I have all this data in Salesforce and like I have a lot of calls coming in looking for this data in Salesforce, is there a way to automate that with a bot? And, you look at that and that's, it's a good way to have like case deflection, but without, but without having to like sort of really push a lot onto your customer. They're getting all the information they want without actually having to call you, which is really what your customers want at the end of the day. So that's a great example there of sort of order status support and how manufacturers are sort of dealing with that in the Salesforce world. Again, all 360-degree view. As a salesperson, again, it's not just your customers. You're also arming your salespeople with all of this data, with all these tools. So when they're out in the field, they can also get at this info. So that's really it from the order management side. Let's look over at this more from like a little bit of a mission critical type of support. So if I switch this over, and I'm going to go pretend I'm a different company here. So now we're Acme Sales. And from an Acme sales standpoint, we're basically, we are selling, more heavy equipment and basically like larger type of stuff, mission critical. So in this case, we're going to basically say, really like we're sort of working with engines and stuff like that, right? So if I go to my home page here and I'm basically coming in, you can notice a couple different things. So first of all, we're going to do this as basically a phone call, right? So we're going to have one of our customers, Mark, basically call in and start explaining what their issue is, right? So down here, my phone system's connected, and this is a little bit of a test one. We're not really making a phone call here since it's a demo, but basically I launched my phone call, and you're going to hear that automatically rings. And, it's detecting off of the phone number here that this is Mark calling, and you'll notice it automatically popped. I didn't have to do anything, right? So this is another great use of Service Cloud, right, where, as your agents are receiving these phone calls, automatically pop information to them. Don't make them go hunt for Mark. If we already have the phone number here, just basically pop Mark's information. Or if you have an IVR where a customer can enter their customer number, anything like that, present your agents with who's calling first. What that does is that turns this into a verification call versus a search, right? So, agents can waste up to 20 seconds a call trying to find who's talking to them, right? So especially if, Mark Hoxie, his name isn't that hard to misspell, but you still could misspell it a little bit, have trouble finding them, having to do a search, having to look. All that stuff wastes time when you're on a call. This is more of like, okay, I see that, Mark, can I confirm that this is Mark Hoxie at, can you give me your address or can you give me your account number? And immediately you're verifying who they are versus having to search who they are. The other benefit here is by being able to pop, again, we showed this on the other side, with Mandalay Industries, you have all this other information about the customer that you can pop immediately. So first thing out of the gate is I can see that Mark's warranty is expired, right? So whatever he's calling about, he doesn't have a warranty anymore. That's expired. That's key information to know right out of the gate, right? So if Mark has an issue that's going to take some time to fix, as an agent, I need to tell them that we have to bill for this. Or, I try to renew their warranty right there and sell them an extended warranty. So this is information that, as an agent, I know, like, okay, right out of the gate, I've got to have this conversation with this customer about their warranty and try to get them onto a new warranty, or we're going to have to bill them, or maybe even not be able to help them on this call. Versus someone who has a warranty and their service contract, or however you do your servicing, that's up to date. then I know this is a much easier conversation. They're under warranty, and I'm just going to go into a help mode versus having to figure out how they're going to be billed on that. And by presenting that, you don't have to make them go search and try to find that. So it's right out of the gate, and the agent knows how to frame their conversation, right? So in this use case, Mark is having a hard time, so I'm going to start creating a case here. And he's having a hard time with his engine. So alternator issue. And again, right here, how to change an alternator. My knowledge base is basically presenting different information about that I could be checking out while I'm on the call. So I'm looking at this, looking at this alternator stuff and my knowledge base while Mark's explaining what's going on, and I'm, basically putting in my case. And I'm filling this out, right, while Mark's explaining it. Now, sometimes it's not easy stuff, especially if these mission critical, these hard, very complex types of systems. Sometimes this is sort of tough to explain what's going on. Sometimes it's even tough to explain what system somebody's on, right? So if you're on like a big plant floor and you have 20 pieces of equipment that's been installed there, not everybody's able to tell you, hey, this is model X259, and it's the third unit that we bought 4 years ago. They might be like, I don't know, I'm in front of the drill press and it's not working. Right, and that, that's pretty frustrating to an agent where, they need to make sure they're giving guidance on the right model and be able to identify that. And they're trying to do this over the phone. So in the instances, especially with this mission critical support, there are times when you just can't really solve that problem on the phone, and a lot of it is because you can't figure out what equipment they're working on, what they're describing. They can't show you, the person maybe isn't certified to handle this piece of equipment. So what we have is we have the ability to sort of get a video of what's going on, right? And this is using a product of Salesforce. It's called SOS, where basically you can be like, okay, Mark, I can't understand really what you're describing there, but if you can show me what you're describing, that'll really help me to solve this case. And that'll, basically they would have an app that they download on their mobile phone, and from this app they would be able to leverage their two-way camera and essentially show us what the problem is. And by doing that, hopefully we can resolve this issue, because if not, we're going to have to dispatch somebody to that customer, right? And that costs time, time to us, and it also costs money to potentially to that customer. If they're under warranty, that might be, something that you have to provide for free, and now that's costing you money. So this is potentially a way that we can, lower the amount of times we have to dispatch somebody to a customer into the field if we can figure this out with a simple video. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to, basically set myself to online to receive these types of cases. So I'm going to go, make myself available to SOS. And now what we're going to do is we're going to switch from Mark's perspective. He's just downloaded this Our App Pinpoint, which is going to be branded to your customer. So Mark, let's take control here, and the case is 1906. So Mark's going to show us his phone in a second. All right, so there's Mark's phone, and he's now in the app. So basically, in this type of use case, what Mark is doing here is I'm already on the phone with Mark, so I don't want Mark going to a different agent because I'm already speaking to him. So I want this SOS session automatically routed to me, which is why he's putting in the case number that I just gave him and that agent, right? So now, so basically, he's going, that's coming into me. It's basically initializing, so I'm accepting this. Now, it's basically kicking in right now. All right, there we go. So Mark can see a little bit of a view of me in my room doing the webinar here. And then Mark will turn on the two-way camera and turn it around. All right, so Mark, just toggle the flip to switch it. Just double tap it. There you go. All right, so Mark is now showing the engine of what's going on there. So I'm looking at the thing and I can see the issue of what's happening. So then Mark, present back to me here. And keep showing that. All right, so now I'm going to show my screen again. So Mark, make me presenter. All right, there it goes. All right, sorry about that. All right, so now I'm sharing my screen. And, all right, so so the SOS would have been in that window. So there it is right here. So I'm showing SOS, so you can see the engine here. So now I'm able to analyze what's going on with that issue, right? So Mark is showing the engine, and I'd be like, oh, okay. So like, yep, this is clearly your alternator here. And then, basically we would end the session. I'd click end. And what you're going to see here is, so if I go back to my case, automatically on this case here, you can see that there's an SOS session that was associated to it, right? So if I go into this SOS session, sorry, my mouse is hitting something. So I click into this SOS session here, and I go into it. You can see basically like, some information about what was going on, all the information about that session. You can even record that session and basically, store it on S3. But basically, I was able to solve that issue by seeing what he was looking at there without having to, dispatch somebody. So now I can, essentially be able to close this case out and, move on from there. And, we were able to solve Mark's issue. So, what you saw there is sort of a combination of one of our apps and then SOS is behind the scenes really driving it. So SOS is essentially assuming that you have an iOS or an Android app, right? So Mark was on an Android version there. And so, a lot of manufacturing companies do not have, mobile apps, applications that, that their customers can download. So what we've done is we've developed an app that we call Pinpoint, and that allows you as a manufacturer to basically hook it up to your Salesforce to show SOS there and allow, your customers to download it. And what we do is, this prepackaged app, we'll brand it, so it'll match all your branding, and then we'll also, obviously hook it up to your Salesforce and do all the setup. You can also include other support options on there, like maybe you want live message on there or some knowledge base. We can expand that mobile app out if we wanted to, but the core basis of it is to have an app to show SOS. And then we're going to help you publish that to the various app stores, so Apple or Android, and we'll go from there. So that's a little bit of like sort of how that magic happened there. SOS is really exciting, and again, like being able to help those customers right there. Because again, just remember, if they're down, and this is, if your equipment is mission critical, heavy machinery, big, very important type of stuff like that. If they're down or if they're having issues, their whole plant line could be down, a whole production line could be down. That could be something that you have like, a one-day turnaround to get somebody dispatched to. These are very expensive things to have to go run on site to go fix. So any kind of deflection that you can do like that, where you could potentially solve the issue easier over the phone, it's going to make your customer a lot happier, and it's going to save both you and your customer money because there'll be less downtime and less field dispatching. So, really important piece of equipment there, really important piece of technology there from a mission-critical support standpoint. So let's go into the next use case here. So, we solved this issue, but, while we're on the phone with him, with Mark, we know he was out of warranty. And, we essentially promised him, hey, we're going to fix this issue for you, but you've got to renew your warranty contract, right? We don't want to, you can't be off a warranty and still keep getting support like this. So, again, this is about all getting everything in one place. So I'm going to assign this to a salesperson, right? So to go follow up with them, I'm going to assign this case to Joe Sales, being like, hey, we had this case, and you could do this as a lead or you could do this as an opportunity. It's sort of up to you. For the demo, we're just doing this as a case, being like, hey, Joe, we just solved Mark's issue, but he needs to renew his warranty as part of that, right? So if I go into Salesforce as this sales rep, Joe Sales, I can see, my cases, and I'm going to see, okay, here's the one that from the alternating issues, this just came over to me, right? So I'm looking at the case, I can see everything that went on, and I know I have to renew their contract there, right? So I'm going to go into their account, and I'm going to see their service contracts here, right? So here's that 360 of everything going on, and here's their service contract, which is basically expired, right? And so what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using CPQ to renew their service contract, right? So again, another Salesforce product that hooks right into Service Cloud and allows you to renew service contracts or maybe send out parts orders. A lot of things in the service industry for manufacturing require sales. you're selling these service contracts. It's a great part of your business. You're also selling parts, and you can be using CPQ to send out those quotes or to renew these contracts, right? So I go into this contract, and I'm basically looking at this contract, and I see that it's expired, and I want to renew this contract, right? So I kick right into my CPQ. So now we're on CPQ, and I'm going to, basically add a product and make this a little bigger. All right, so I want to expand my service contract here, and I want to get them on a one-year plan. So I'm going to select that. I'm walking through CPQ here, and I'm getting them onto that new plan. So now I'm all up to date there. Now I'm going to save this quote. And so what's happening is it's generating a quote automatically to get them onto that contract. I had some stuff on there from before, but we're fine on that. So basically, here's my quote right here, and that's going to automatically create an opportunity. So I go into this opportunity, so here's associated to my quote. Joe agrees to pay, and he's all set. So I talk to Joe on the phone. Joe paid, so I'm going to do close one, and then I'm basically going to say, all right, this one's all set. I click save, and now my contract's up to date. So now if I go back to my service console here, and I go look at Joe's record, and I hit refresh, you're going to see that they now have a one-year service plan, right? So their 2-year warranty, their initial warranty, that's still expired. Oops, didn't mean to click on that. That's still expired, but they now have an active 1-year service plan, right? So now they're back on their warranty. Everything's all set. So without having to leave Salesforce, we basically just processed an order, basically extended out their warranty, provided that service, and everything's all set there. If Mark had wanted to order some additional parts, he could have done that with CPQ as well. We could have done a parts quote, sent that out to him, with a PDF, sent that by email, and then, when he was ready to buy that, would have been sort of the same thing. Right from Salesforce, we could have closed that opportunity. And this is where your sort of integration, with your ERP systems kicks in. We can send that order, that accepted order, right over to the ERP system as a processed order, and then have an invoice blast out, or we could, basically have it, at that point passed on to an order management team to go process. So it's really up to how much you want to have, a bi-directional integration with your ERP system. So, so some really good stuff there. And so this is, really sort of walking through our use cases there that we covered, right? So we want to, we covered order status and, all the different type of support for order inquiries. We went through some self-service with live message and how that can automate some of that, so making these agentless type of transactions to get your customer data that they need, but without having to have an agent involved, which is good for everybody. Then we walked through Pinpoint and SOS, to essentially show how you can do, really cut down on your field dispatches and, be able to try to resolve more issues over the phone by using a two-way camera. And then we basically, were able to renew a service contract using CPQ hooked right into Service Cloud. Other aspects of things that you can do here is we can use communities to expose a lot of this stuff. So many things that you can do in the manufacturing world, and we're going to, do deeper dive webinars into certain use cases. So, really to conclude, CPQ, SOS, even field service, these are going to be upcoming webinars that we do, and also blog posts diving, much deeper into those and showing a lot of different types of features versus sort of the quick walkthrough that we did here where we're showing that off. So I don't think, I think with the technical issues, we're not going to be able to get any kind of questions, from the users here. But we're going to basically attempt to get that fixed, and then we'll have people be able to email in questions. So apologize again for some of the technical issues we have with the WebEx there. We will get this recording posted onto our website, and we're going to email it to everybody afterwards, and so you should be seeing that pretty soon. So thanks again for attending, and have a great day.